I know. I hear the music.
We hear
Did you chuck us? Chambriel?
The introduction.
Are you ready?
Did you chuck us? Chuck us,
roll.
man.
Ready to rock.
I'm ready to be chucked.
Live from Venture X Studios, it's JP, Kathy, and the crew.
You know, I think that's something, Kathy. I want to be chucked.
No, I don't know about that.
I'm thinking it is.
I don't. I'm going to let you go with that.
That's how we get started, though.
Good morning to the crew. Yeah,
But
Chuck,
that's how we get started. We get chucked.
Chuck's voice comes on and introduces
I
us.
think it's hilarious,
Even when
by the
Chuck's
way.
not here, we've got Bree, the intern, who is just rocking and rolling, running the show.
And whatnot.
Producing. Yep, rocking and rolling and whatnot, running the show.
I wonder if I have to do this.
producing
Do I have to do
by
this?
yourself? That's awesome.
Do I have to do this?
What?
See, I do this. And I do this.
You sound better when you're closer to the
You
mic.
think so?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not a fan of this.
Of what, the new
Yeah, because I'm
shebang?
going to hurt my back. I need workman's comp.
You know what? I think you can adjust these up and down.
Can you? I just need to hold mine. I need to be like Viva Las Vegas. Viva Las Vegas.
Or not. Or
Maybe,
not.
maybe not.
So good morning to the
Well,
crew.
happy birthday to you, by the
Why,
way.
thank you so much, sir.
I rushed my way out the door the other day and didn't get to wish you one on the air, but I took care of that after the fact and on the day of.
Thank you.
So happy birthday. Happy birthday to Kathy. Happy birthday to Kathy. Happy birthday, dear Kathy. Happy birthday to you. There you go, see?
Thank you so much, and I appreciate the
And you just got a
crew.
kiss.
I love that from Chambriel. I love it. Thank you. No, thank you so much. Yeah, I just got some really nice well wishes from members of the crew. So I love y'all. Thank you so much. You know, I just think the older you get, the kind and heartfelt wishes mean more to you than anything else. And I know we're going to talk a little bit about kind of, Christmas this year, and with a lot of us on a limited budget, more so than most years. Because of COVID, what does Christmas look like? And heck, with what Dr. Clothier talked about the other day, my family, we draw names because we've got such a ginormous family. We draw names, but then we do a funny, like a nice white elephant Secret Santa Christmas gift exchange, and then we do a funny or a bad Santa, naughty Santa, white elephant Secret Santa Christmas exchange. Do we get to do that this year? Because like the bad Santa, it's very aggressive. We're in your face. We're grabbing gifts. We're I got it. People are stealing things the maximum 3 times. What does that look like? We're going to be talking over the next few weeks about gift giving, charitable opportunities, and also, going to see Santa, going to see lights. Some of the normal festivities look different this year, and so we're hoping we can bring some ideas to you. And if members of the crew have ideas, we would love to hear those.
Send them our way. Also, if you notice I'm rudely on my phone, ignoring all of you, I'm sharing with you. We need you to go out and share the feed this morning. Let everybody know what we're doing, how we're getting things done, and also a lot of good information this morning. We're going to have Lathan Watts on again this morning talking religious freedom
liberties
in the courtroom.
And because there's been a SCOTUS decision recently. Kelly Shackelford of First Liberty was on one of the Fox News shows last night. So talking about that. And then also, actually right now, we've got the one and only Dr. Rebecca Good of the Ask Dr. Be Good show.
We're ready. Bring her on up.
There she is.
And here's the thing, right? A lot going on with education. A lot going on. And I know that Dr. Good, you were on the front lines of this COVID-19 pandemic education approach. Can you update us? What's it looking like?
Well, various districts are in various states of, when I say closed or shut down, what I mean by that is virtual, right? We don't get snow days anymore. Right? It's been one of the impacts of COVID is that we have learned that we can go remote and not have to lose a day of instruction. Now, having said that, all of us, again, are in various stages of remote instruction and face-to-face.
Right.
Give our example. In our district, we had been very blessed for 3 months to not have any cases, and all of a sudden it just blew up. And between staff and students, we had to, according to the Dallas County Health Department and even Collin County, we called and they said, yeah, we suggest you go virtual for the next week, which was the week before Thanksgiving. And then we decided, because the commissioner had given us 10 days per episode, that we could stay closed the week after Thanksgiving with the thought that we would outthink the virus, and because when are those symptoms going to show up? 5 to 7 days usually. Right. And that's going to be the week after Thanksgiving. And we've already had some kids, now they're remote, but we've already had some kids coming down with COVID that we heard about yesterday. So
from the Thanksgiving holidays,
and try to stay smarter than the virus. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Is that Dr. Good? Is that from Thanksgiving they tested positive because of being with family at Thanksgiving? Do you think? Or
right.
What?
Well, think about it. Thursday.
Okay.
So tomorrow will be the 8th day.
Oh, I guess so. Yeah, that's true.
Tomorrow's the 8th day, and so you're going to catch it between now and maybe Sunday.
Okay.
Probably.
Okay.
I know they say 10 days, although now they're saying less than 14 days. Do you notice that? There's research coming out of Europe.
Well, we talked about that.
8 day, you can be home 8 days, and if you test negative, you can go back. And I'm starting to hear that here. Have you read a little bit about that? The shortening of the quarantine period.
Well,
yes.
Well, okay, we say that, but when the president, if you remember when the president,
this is something new yesterday.
Well, no, but this is a reiteration of what the CDC released. See, what happened is that there was confusion on this 14-day quarantine. And what the quarantine was for, and the CDC was plain back in the day, it was for asymptomatics to let it run its course. And what they said is we never said that you had to quarantine if you caught it and then you beat it. As long as you had a negative test, you can go back to work. And that became more public when the president got sick and went back to work early. And so now they're reiterating again, we're saying 7 to 10 days. If you've got negative tests, go back to work, go back to school.
But this is actually a new, I think you're referring to the new CDC, and I'm pulling up the exact verbiage. The announcement that came out like 14 hours ago. CDC to release revised guidance reducing COVID-19 quarantine time from 14 days to 7 to 10 days. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is expected to release a revised guidance on quarantine time for those who may have been exposed to the novel coronavirus from 14 days to 7 days for those who have received a negative test, and 10 days for those who have not been tested. And this was coming out from Fox News 14 hours ago. So I think that's what they're getting ready to announce. Is Dr. Good, is that what you were talking about?
Well, that's part of what I'm reading. You know, you read a lot about this every day. You get updates and updates, and so what we tend to do, people in charge, it's not just school districts. These are companies doing this too. We tend to try to pick up the pattern, right, of information that you hear most from, And so I'd heard about Europe starting to accept that 8-day quarantine with a negative test, and sure enough, it's come here. Now I'm starting to hear more about that shorter quarantine period. So that's good. And again, that may mean that we did the smart thing by staying virtual the week after Thanksgiving, so that those symptoms that may be popping up are popping up at people's homes and not at school.
Okay,
so
gotcha.
We are ready to open Monday. And I will tell you, there are some districts that opened up this week face-to-face, and they're already having kids come to school. And the thing about sending a kid to school who's been tested, whose results have not come back yet, is wrong, and it's still happening. I read about that yesterday, I think.
I don't get that, Dr.
Please
Good.
don't send your kids to school with an unfinished test, a test that you haven't gotten the results on, because
they might have it. Well, it's interesting. I think about, something, and my son, before he got his tonsils taken out, literally had strep throat. At one point, it was like seven times during one school year. There is no way I would have been like, hey, let's go in this morning for a strep throat test. I'm going to take you back to school, pick you up at 3:30, and we'll see if the test results are in there. You wouldn't do that, so I don't get it.
It's happening, though. I mean, all I can tell you is that is part of the world, and that's why we take temperatures before they get out of the car and all that stuff, because we have to we have to be the parent in a lot of cases. In a lot of cases, we have parents who work and they just have to rely on the school as their babysitter, and they, by hook or crook, they do what their survivalist mind, makes them do. But I brought some data with me today, and there's no surprises. Now, you all know that I am very much a wellness person. I understand that if the kids aren't well, they're not going to learn, right?
Right.
And so guess what? Weight gain up among children during pandemic.
Oh yeah, well, because they're not doing the athletics. They're not. I mean, parents they're not kids, and we are. And you've talked about this, very wisely on the show about the lack of activity kids have, in the past 10 years versus generations before. So they're getting even less now. Well, what do we expect?
Well, they have access to the fridge. They have and maybe supervised access. They have a lot of time the starches that taste good starches at home that they don't have at school. School food tends to be sometimes a little bit more nutritious than home food, and so there's all that combination of not getting outside, not eating nutritionally well, having unsupervised access to snacks, and so. And so that leads me to my next article, which says letting kids play outside can boost their immune system, because if you're gaining weight, your immune system is starting to get compromised. So how can we very quickly as parents and educators do something real and immediate? Well, guess what? Letting kids play outside can boost their immune systems. And so one of the things that they have said is, if you can get your daycare, your school, your own personal habits to include nature, this builds the immune system in kids up to mental health care. I mean, I'll give you an example. Daycares in Finland built a forest floor and changed the children's immune system. So they had different settings. They had daycares that brought in forest floors with different kind of bushes and soil and so forth. And then they had kids who played in their tile and gravel urban daycare. And so kids who were in greened up daycare centers in Finland showed an increase in T cells and other important immune markers in their blood within 28 days. We also found that the intestinal microbiota of children who received greenery was similar to intestinal microbiota of children visiting the forest every day. Prior research showed that early exposure to green space is somehow linked to well-functioning immune system, but it's not clear whether the relationship is causal or not. So the research is still early, but the experiment in Finland is the first to explicitly manipulate a child's urban environment and then test for changes in their microbiome and in turn, a child's immune system. And while the findings don't hold all the answers, they support a leading idea, namely that a change in environmental microbes can relatively easily affect a well-established microbe in children, giving their immune system a helping hand in the process. The notion that an environment rich in living things impacts our immunity is known as biodiversity hypothesis. And based on this hypothesis, a loss of biodiversity in urban areas could be at least partially responsible for the recent rise in immune-related illnesses. And so think about this. All we'd have to do as schools, as daycares, is to make sure kids are outside more. If we have green space, plant more bushes and greenery, let the kids take care of the greenery. This very much showed after just one short month that kids who got to spend time outside every day had a stronger immune system. And when you have a stronger immune system, you fight off things that are like COVID and flu and strep and all those things. So what does this mean for parents? Well, parents, you also can take kids outside, take them to the park. It says, this supports the assumption that contact with nature prevents disorders in the immune system, such as autoimmune diseases and allergies. And it says that research on going outside is also good for child's eyesight, and being in nature as a kid is linked to better mental health. Some recent studies have even shown green spaces are linked to structural changes in the brains of children.
Wow. I mean, it's free. Nature
I
outside,
know.
hanging out. When my kids were little, and I miss this with them being little. Maybe I'll be that person now. But I love to swing with my kids and take them out to parks when they were young. And we'd go to Bob Woodruff Park and walk around, or we'd go up to like a local, elementary school after hours and go and get on. And I still to this day love swinging on swings. I don't know what it is. I think it's more appropriate if you have a child with you when you're doing that. You probably look crazy if you don't. But I just think that was those were some of the best memories. And again, it cost you zero, zero.
That's the thing is, if we know this, if we know that, and here's the other thing that I remind most people: the cities of Plano, Allen, Dallas, Richardson, they have been excellent at building forests, trails,
Yes.
the opportunity to go on nature trails and nature walks. There is no reason why you can't drive to a park and either bicycle or walk the
Right.
nature trail. Go off the trail a little bit. Let's look at the forest floor. Let's see what we can see as far as erosion and seasonal changes, what kind of bugs. When I take my 4-year-old on our nature walks, we look for those things. We look for the impact that the current season is having on nature. We look for bugs. We look for how bugs are impacting erosion. We look for squirrels. We look for what squirrels eat. And he's 4 and he already knows his stuff now because
Right.
I've made it a point, right? And so, folks, it's you said it's free, yes, but it's just the right thing to do. And now we're seeing more and more that if our daycares, our schools aren't helping with that, maybe we can help with that. Maybe we can go to the schools and say, how can I help with a community garden? How can I help
Right.
fundraise,
So-
for a green
Right.
Dr. Good, is there
Sure.
anything coming out of Region 10 at this point with kind of an at-home list of physical activities that parents may engage with or students may engage with that they would do at school but may not be doing at home, and there's no structure to a phys ed approach?
I don't know. I'll have to look into that. I haven't seen anything because I jump on that. That catches my eye. And
Right.
I was gonna say if it exists, she has not published it yet because normally she's the first one to push something out on social media.
Well, you know
So
what's
I'm happy to give that idea to them. I sent an idea yesterday to them about something I hadn't seen lately. So I'm happy to do that because unfortunately we can't count on PE really being as effective at home as it is at school, right? I mean, especially when we're all virtual.
right.
It's nice to send and it's nice to have the hope that they get out there and they are physical. And some kids actually do that, but others don't. And so, again, sometimes I feel I have to explain why it is I spend so much time on wellness. But folks, if we can't get these kids well,
right?
then
We're in trouble.
Well, it goes to the development of their brain as well. It's proven that you gain 5 points, IQ points, by simply eating fresh vegetables and avoiding things like cans of SpaghettiOs. There was a poverty study that came out that showed that parents who were on food stamps, who were impoverished, would go for the 5 cans of SpaghettiOs for $1 versus 2 cucumbers for $1.79 because they could get more use out of 5 cans of SpaghettiOs than they could 2 cucumbers. And what they found, the data showed that the children that were eating fresher vegetables, eating meats versus canned foods like that they had an increase of 5 IQ points.
well, and so here's one of the things that I've been working on the last several years when it comes to food drives at school. I don't let them be called can drives anymore because we're really discouraging people from bringing us cans.
right.
So you say, well, what's left? Well, there's peanut butter. We can never get enough peanut butter, right? That's one of the easy protein for
Protein, you
kids
got it.
if they're not allergic to the nuts.
Right.
But it has been a challenge to try to encourage our schools to be more nutritious in their request to bring in food and then to get food to our families. We now try to always have a vegetable component to it, not just cans or potted meat, because really those aren't the healthiest
Right.
ways of feeding our family.
Right.
Well, but it is the cheapest thing to put in your pantry. And, and it's sad because it is expensive to eat healthy. When I'm doing JP's Kitchen, I never go to the middle of the store, right? So I'm not getting boxed cereal. The only canned goods I get are black beans. That's about the only canned good I'll get, right? And so my vegetables are fresh, but I can go get 5 cans of corn for $2, but to buy 4 ears of corn, it's going to cost me, $1.50 or what have you. And so,
Well, and even then, I'm more persnickety than you are. I mean, I won't buy corn unless it's organic.
right.
I try to buy it only frozen organic, and it's rare to find organic corn on the cob. But if I see it, I'll buy it because it's so rare to find. But again, it's a matter of training and prioritizing your money for families. That goes back to the financial literacy that I try to do on my show. I've actually trained parents. I say, let me do it. Let me bring nutrition talk to our poverty parents to see if we can convince them to try to look beyond the easy starch, right? And so every once in a while, I get a parent who actually will try to be more nutritious now that they've been trained. And so it's training.
Well, and at least you're bringing
poverty,
awareness. You're
remember,
bringing awareness.
Generational poverty brings habits from the past, right? And so that's how our parents ate. That's how their grandparents ate. And so they're bringing those habits to their family.
Well, and I think that the more community farms that pop up and community access to those farms, I think that we'll see poverty have a chance to eat better. I know that sounds probably weird, but it does. If you're willing to put the work in and you have the information, and you can take that time with your child, and I would highly recommend that as an outdoor activity. Take that time with your child and go participate in the community garden.
We have Professor Freedom, Clarence Glover, who's been with us for 8 years. And every summer, he has a summer program that he challenges our families to grow with him. And whether you're in an apartment, whether you're in a home, he does container gardens, and he encourages family. He gives them the seeds. He goes to Home Depot and Lowe's, and he gets them to give him free soil and seeds and pots. Awesome. And they'll grow, especially kale and collard greens and all those healthy greens. And then back in the day, he would meet with them, but now they do a drive by his house because he has taken his front yard. He's done that thing that we all should do, and taken his front yard, and he has turned it into a community garden.
That's
now he's
awesome.
in University Park, so it's interesting that he's among McMansions, and I'm sure the neighbors are having to come to terms with that. But that's where we should be. We should be planting fruit trees in our front yard, vegetables in our medians, so that if we have enough food, we certainly can get food to our neighbors who need it too. But that's a very wild out there concept when we like our green little trimmed yards, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, but how pretty is a yard when it's full of tomatoes, onions, and garlic? I mean, to me, it's gorgeous.
Beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. Garlic has such a beautiful flowering.
It's that mentality, though, right? It's getting people to go, what? And then getting HOAs to accept that.
Oh,
right.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, well, the Communist Party. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say that out loud?
Good luck with that.
So, Dr. Good, my suggestion would be, and I don't know if you can direct me to do it or if you'll do it, is to have, Region 10 be the leader on this and put out an outdoor phys ed guide for parents and kids on activities that kids may be doing at school that they're not at school now doing, that you could do with the child outside. And then also, I don't know, are we sending home a nutritional guide on what kids eat normally during the day if they eat a cafeteria lunch?
Probably not.
That's a good question. That would be, we give health classes to our elementary kids. So there's 2 things I'm going to do. First, you made me think of something. That that TEA has a homeschool curriculum that
Correct.
They have placed online. It's been on for months. It gets better every month. I'm going to go in there and see what their PE looks like.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Because it may be there, and I just haven't looked at it because we're project-based, so we don't tap into that curriculum. But it may be there, so I'm going to look there. And then I'm going to see if our health people, our health teachers are doing just that. The nutritional piece is emphasized. So thanks for giving me homework. Normally it's the other way around.
Yes, normally it is the other way around.
Exactly.
Well, my curiosity is, did we send home to parents? And because not every parent is on top of nutrition, right? And
Well, they weren't. It's like Dr. Good has said, this is kind of a multi-generational. If for generations your family's only done a big thing of pasta or rice or something on a regular basis, bunch of starches, well, then that's what you grow up eating. You don't know any better.
Well, and what I'm getting at though is that when we send our kids to school and they've got, remember we used to have the little lunch card that we would walk through when we'd punch, right? I ate at the cafeteria. A parent may not know what their kid's eating during the day. They may just be preparing dinner, and they don't know that at breakfast they're getting some cold cereal, maybe a pancake, and a thing of orange juice. You know,
can look online and it'll tell you all. I know at least
the menu
for
is
Plano
online.
ISD,
Yeah,
it
the menu's online.
But
no,
it has a nutritional value.
No, it does.
Like
but what I'm
fats
saying is
and
something that's
carbs and everything.
pandemic specific, right?
Yeah.
Your kids are at home, and we recommend that this is what their nutritional day at school would look like.
Just
That you may want to try to follow
parents,
that.
Pay attention to what your kids are
To
eating.
keep them in the lane.
Yeah.
So that they get away from those
I'm
starches.
thinking beyond that. I'm thinking I need to talk to my lunch person and see if the nutritional, the lunch program, the national lunch program has anything like that. And maybe, and I've done this before, but you probably don't remember, where I have done podcasts on the government's lunch program, and they have a huge site. Maybe next week I'll bring that to you, so that
would be great.
Understands the plethora of nutritional information, and it's almost as good as what I would accept. It's not quite. The pyramid is better. It's now a plate, by the way. It's not a pyramid.
Right.
But would you be interested in hearing more about that?
I would.
I think it'd be great information to get out there. Well, and again,
Okay.
even
Yep.
even
And we'll
even
do
if
that.
you're a
Well,
parent.
thank you guys. Thanks for giving me lots of homework.
Well, tons of homework. Well, and I sit here and I'm listening to y'all talk about this physical fitness list, which it is a great idea, but it's also a sad statement on where we are in society. My kids spent more times outdoors blowing bubbles and riding with sidewalk chalk. Literally, I would have to, just, hey, you have to come in. It's dark. You're using a flashlight to ride on the sidewalk with sidewalk chalk. There are so many, again, free or extremely inexpensive. I mean, a big old thing of bubbles is like $1.29, or you can get it at the dollar store. Same with sidewalk chalk. I think it's kind of sad that we're sitting here having to. We grew up being outside. What has gone wrong in society that we have to remind parents to keep your kids physically fit or let them play outside like kids?
Well, stranger danger, people, apartments, townhomes where the yards aren't big. There's lots of reasons how that has evolved to where we are today, but now we need to recognize that and do something about it, because our kids' health is impacted. We have kids with allergies and asthma in numbers that we never had, 36 years ago when I started.
Right.
Now we have first graders getting their periods, okay?
Oh my gosh. What?
Right. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Well, and that's been coming earlier and earlier, and it's being pushed by nutrition. It is what they're eating and how they're. Well, that's what I mean. Their hormones are being triggered by all of these fillers, and I mean it's proven. The data is
those
there.
hormones, yeah.
Yeah, I mean the data is there. So yeah, it's craziness. Well, Dr. Good, I cannot thank you enough. I know that you are off and running and busy. You have a district to run.
Yes.
And so
Thank you, and I will, as always, Sunday at 8 on the Ask Dr. Be Good show. We'll talk more about this and other fascinating things in the politics, the pedagogy, and the practices of public education. So
absolutely. And so you can also catch Dr. Be Good on the on a replay on Thursdays at 6 o'clock as well.
6 p.m.
So
right, thanks, guys.
They appreciate you, Dr. Good. Thank you so much. Have a blessed day.
Yeah, have a great day. And Dr. Good, speaking of nutrition, I tagged you in a Facebook article about the health of bay leaves. So anyway, so look for a tag and a notification from me.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
All right,
Bye-bye.
have a great day. Have a blessed day. It is kind of crazy when you think about it, JP. Obviously we grew up in the generation where, I mean, as long as we were home by the time it was dark, we were fine. My brother and I used to, ride our bikes across a busy intersection this is when we grew up. The majority of our time we grew up in Richardson, and go over and ride our bikes to Richland College during the summer. On I think it was Tuesdays and Thursdays was open swim day. We would literally meet our friends up at Richland College who lived on the other side of the college in another neighborhood. And we would be up there swimming all day. We would bring stuff to shampoo and shower and change clothes and drive home or ride our bikes home in dry clothes. We were out and about. Now, I know what she's talking about with stranger danger and, human sex trafficking and all those things. I was one of those paranoid moms. The first time my daughter took one of the kids she was babysitting up to a park, she knows this now, but I drove around the perimeter of the park without her seeing me just to make sure they were safe.
Right.
So I get that, but you can be creative. Mark, even if you just have a little patio or something, or just right after dinner, instead of it's plopping back down in front of the TV, everybody go on a 10-minute walk after dinner, and and have the kids take, a piece of paper with them and draw 2 different kinds of leaves you see today. Or just, again, and this is all free. And I'm going to get back into the mental health thing, JP. When she's talking about this helping with kids' mental health, and we are literally, on the verge of the largest, most horrific mental health crisis in our country and in the world. Look at the numbers from Japan the other day. We've got to do something. And the sun, that vitamin D, it's great for your immune system, and it is so good for your mental health.
And what we have found out is that now insurance companies recognize the importance of vitamin D, and doctors are now paid to test your vitamin D levels. My father is taking, 55,000 CPTUQN units a day or whatever.
Absolutely.
To help with his vitamin D.
Both of my kids are on vitamin D because when tested, their folate was naturally low and the vitamin D was naturally low. I have had those tests done, and vitamin D is one of the less expensive supplements at the store. So, you can literally get, a bottle of vitamin D3 for $2.99 or something, like the little, and I don't like the pill form. I like the ones that have the liquid because I feel like that absorbs into your system better. Or you can get a prescription even of vitamin D from a lot of your doctors.
Right, depending on the strength level.
Yeah,
absolutely. Well, I'll tell you, you know what I don't need any vitamin D for is to talk about Christmas gifts. So, and guess what? Not everything is online. Oop, this way. Not everything is online. I get magazines still.
Yes, we do too.
I love magazines.
Michael's like you. He's a big catalog person.
I am.
Yeah, and he even sat a catalog next to me last night, and he's like, see if there's anything that Santa needs to bring. And
see, and here's the thing, right?
And when we grew up, that's what we grew up marking what we wanted in, like the Sears catalog.
Oh gosh, well, Toys R Us, remember, or Pennies?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I found Kathy's holiday gift for this Christmas. I don't know if Chambriel. Oh, there we go. Chambriel's got me up close. Look at that. The magical unicorn in the Hammaker Schlimmer. Did I say that right? I think I said that right.
That's probably a very expensive
Hammaker Schlimmer. Isn't that fun?
That's an expensive
I found
unicorn.
That for you. So
thank you so much. Is that one you can ride?
Yeah. No. The Tender Touch Magical Unicorn, and really, it's under $50. $39.99. See,
that's actually a decent price for that particular catalog.
Oh yeah. I wish that they had. I got to find this. I'm buying this for my cousin.
Yeah.
And this is exciting. I could have learned how to become a mechanic without having to be outside sweating with my dad and my grandpa. Although I'll never pass up on those things. They have created a half-size vehicle, like a Caterpillar or a John Deere tractor. Yeah, I'm not kidding you.
Like where you're under the hood?
Yes.
That's a great idea.
And they give you the tools and everything. Well, of course, I'm not going to be able to find it now because I'm talking about it. But no, it is the coolest thing that I've ever seen. First of all, I love Hammaker Schlimmer. I love their stuff. I love looking at their fun stuff. But no, it is a coolest thing. They have a Caterpillar, they have a John Deere tractor, and then they have a red truck. Because, of course, everybody has a red truck, right? And here they are. And isn't this the coolest thing? Look at this. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that, Kathy?
Yeah, okay. I mean, kind of, yeah. If I zoom my screen
What's
in.
that? Oh, these right here. And so these are super cool. They're very inexpensive. Oh, we have a caller. Do we have a caller? Oh, we had Bree, the intern's phone go off. I think we should have answered that to talk to whoever it was on the phone.
That would have been scary.
So, but
They'd have been like, thanks.
yeah, no kidding. So, but this is the coolest thing. Your kid can jump under the hood and start learning how to work on their own vehicles just by playing and understanding something a little bit different. It's called the Personalized Engine Lovers Repair Set. And, you know, this is the darndest thing. Here, look at this, Kathy. You'll appreciate this. I love this. I'm going to hand that over to Kathy. But yeah, I think that is like one of the most awesome things.
That is cool. I mean, you think of all the different things that all the different kind of things, like, you know, doctor kits and science and all this kind of stuff, you know, like where you can do experiments and everything. This is fun. Learn how to work on a car.
And it's not out of the budget. I mean, it's not going to kill your budget to be able to do something like that. And so, yeah, I really love that. And so I'm going to also send... So that's for some of the things you can get for kids. And, of course, again, I love that magazine. That one and Brookstone. I love going and looking.
Brookstone. Oh, yeah. And I love going into Brookstone and sampling all the different massagers and stuff.
I just sent you a link. You know, gifts for men. And by the way, as we go through and get ready to get to the holiday season and Christmas, whether you celebrate Christmas or Hanukkah or Kwanzaa, whatever it is you celebrate, Eid, whatever you celebrate, we're going to have gift ideas for you.
Yes.
And we're going to start talking gift ideas and what does charity look like. And so
we've got Toys for Tots going on up here at Venture X. So if you've got toys to donate, bring them to us or just hop up here in the community area, the common area, with gifts because we are working with Toys for Tots here at Venture X.
Absolutely. Good plug. So, Kathy, here's a cool deal. So last year for my dad's very hard to buy for. He has everything he wants. And more. I mean,
that's my parents too.
And actually, he has
lost
the most of what he wants, which is my mother.
Yeah.
And I can't buy him another. I wish I could because I'd sure love to have her back. But so last year, I bought him a watch membership, and every month I paid like $99 a month.
Yeah.
And every month he got a watch
delivered
to him. That's value
great.
Was over, like I bought the big one and it was like over $250, under $1,500.
Right.
You know, it's just a roulette wheel on what you get. But he got some really cool watches throughout the year. And guess what? He had a little gift to open and looked forward to it once a month.
Right.
This little watch gift.
It's something, those are really fun for our anniversary this summer. And this is one of those things, if you've got somebody who loves mysteries, who loves to read, there was a Sherlock Holmes mystery kit that I bought my husband. So every week for 3 months, he received another letter that had another series of clues for this whole big epic, mystery that you're on. You're helping Sherlock Holmes solve these mysteries. So there's so many different things out there and different options, kind of the gift that keeps on giving. My husband's a big sock person like you are. 1 year for his birthday, I did a sock of the month. And it was just some kind of crazy fun sock, and it's just, so it's something, so when that person receives it, they know that, wow, they're thinking about me, and then it kind of reminds them that, hey, somebody's still thinking about me that cares about me, and I think that's really nice now. And JP, these things are deep discounts, because of COVID. I think everybody's trying to sell everything, and there are deep discounts out there.
Yep, no, I agree. So, and here's something for men. So, ladies, if you're out looking and you don't know what to get your man, this may be one of the best gifts that you can get him. It's something you can do online. It's called Man Crates. I've got it up on the screen. And it's different holiday gifts that keep giving throughout the year, kind of like the watch I got my dad, right? So they've got a whiskey one. They've got a barbecue one. They've got a sports and gear one. They've got a maker and dry one. which is very interesting. And so, what is a maker projects for guys, right? So, I don't know if you can click on that one. Or are you on that one already, Bree? The makers and dry.
Charles chimed in and said, like the Fruit of the Month Club on Seinfeld. That's hilarious.
Yes, that's funny.
That's hilarious.
So, but this one I think is this the barbecuing, or are you just going down?
I went down.
Go to the middle bar there where it says maker and dry, the gray bar. Yeah.
Oh, DIY.
DIY.
Yeah.
Maker and dry. There we go.
DIY. Do it yourself.
Maker and dry?
It's maker and it's DIY.
Oh, DIY.
Do it yourself.
Oh, yeah, I guess it is. Oops. Sorry, maker and DIY. So if you look, I mean, it's cool. A knife making kit. Who doesn't want a knife making kit? How cool is that?
Well,
Arcade game making
Some
kit.
men don't need that, though.
A watch making kit. But this is all stuff that we kind of wish we had done, and we're glad we can do it now. Holiday ale brewing. A gin fusion kit.
See, those are some fun, different gifts. And now, are these affordable?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Under $200.
Okay.
Some of them under $100, like the hot sauce making kit.
Oh, no.
That's
where's that?
$79.99 right there. The expert knife kit.
I like that.
The pine cone buoy, $179. A micro brew kit.
I see that making of the knives, and I just think of Forged in Fire, which is one of the best shows ever on TV.
Right. Oh, I like that too. Yeah.
I wish I could do that.
So how about this? Your own baconology kit for $29.99.
That's great.
Very inexpensive. Personalized cornhole set. So there's so much you can do on one site for your man out there. So,
Well, and Gail said she's given the man crates, and she said they're great.
Yep. Look through them. There's a ton of stuff. Sausage making kit for $89.99.
That's awesome.
So again, the gifts they're all over the board.
Leather
If you have
belt making kit. I mean, these are fun.
Well, if you've got a fisherman in your family,
Lures.
the lure making kit for $99. So
We need to put that link out on our Facebook.
I'll do
That's
that.
kind of a cool thing.
A pipe carving kit for those who want to make tools or pipes. Wine making kit. A chef knife making kit. Somebody needs to get me that for $179.99. But
Courtney.
the wooden RC car kit. How cool is that? That's cool for $109.99.
Car.
Yeah. So this is
good stuff.
this is a great place to go. Maincrates.com. Not a sponsor, by the way. This is something I just genuinely, organically have been hearing on the radio and hearing on social media, and thought this is a great gift idea to be able to pass on to the man in your life that you may not know what to get him. And this is just some great gift ideas that takes you away from the regular box store, locked in. What do I
just
get?
Something that, hey, I thought about you. I know you enjoy XYZ. So I got you this specifically because I knew you would dig this kind of a thing.
Absolutely.
And then JP, let's talk about the other side of, and you and I talked about this a little bit on the phone this morning. And that is, what happens if you're in a situation financially where you can't do gift giving, or because of COVID, you don't want to mail anything. Oh, and Coach Quigley, which thank you very much, Coach, he said that December 15th is the drop dead date. They're saying that you need to mail something if it's going to be received by Christmas
Very
Day.
cool.
So that's good to know, Coach. But let's say, and this is interesting because I was curious about it when we talked about it. So I even looked it up, and there are tons of articles on how to handle if you're not going to participate in a Christmas gift exchange with your family or with family members or friends or whoever you usually exchange gifts with. And they recommend not putting some big post out on social media where you open yourself up to scrutiny, but they recommend individually writing a note to to the family member, or sending something that's, like my family, we do a big group text, and then we have a big group email list and everything. So sending something just saying, hey, and you don't even have to say why you don't want to. Just say, this year I'm going to pull myself out of the gift exchange, and it may be because of health reasons, it may be because of financial reasons, but again, it's like Dr. Clothier mentioned, and I think we're going to have these same talks around Christmas, and that is, have conversations ahead of time so the expectations are such that nobody is disappointed when that holiday comes, and then you can truly enjoy your family, and in the case of Christmas, enjoy the birth of Christ and enjoy the real reason for that season. This talked about, and if money's tight this year, do a handwritten note to a loved one, and just and thank them for something they've done for you, or tell them how they've impacted your life. I think I would appreciate something like that more than a gift card to wherever.
Well, one of the things that we did when we were kids, because we didn't have money to go buy stuff, right? And one of the things we would do is we'd make a handmade card,
Yep.
and then put in there little gift certificates. Rub mom's feet for 30 minutes.
We did the coupons, 5 free hugs,
Right.
at the choosing of your time, or breakfast in bed.
Now, is it the same as opening up whatever it is that you were wanting? It may not be, but it will be.
Well, but you remember it.
Well, that's
Think
what I'm saying.
about
It will be.
Here you are, way past your childhood years, and you remember that.
And that's why I mean that. It's not something maybe at the moment, but the thing that you open will probably be discarded at some point during the year. You may not keep for a very long time, but the memories of you doing something with your family, for your family, will stay with you for the rest of your life. And so you would be surprised. I would much rather be heart impacted than a physical gift impacted at this point in my life. Now, when I was a kid, absolutely not. I wanted to open up as many toys as possible and destroy as many toys as possible. But now when I'm older and I've got my dad, and I cherish the times with my father.
Oh my goodness.
And when I lost my mom, of course, I wish I would have had more time,
Right.
like we all do. But
Right.
so again, it's those.
So you enjoy that time.
Absolutely.
Well, I truly believe, it's so funny, and thank you again for the birthday well wishes. And again, I can't tell you, I really got some nice, even personal notes from members of the crew. And I just, I love y'all. Just thank you so much. I'm just very blessed to be part of this this family with JP, Kathy, and the crew, and I really do appreciate the kind messages. My best gift was Monday night, since I knew my son has band rehearsal on Tuesday nights, and and we get up at the crack of crazy early on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So I thought, you know what, let's celebrate my birthday the night before. And it was myself and my husband and my son and my daughter and her boyfriend. And then she brought her new roommate along, who I had just met, who just a really sweet girl. And we went to a sushi and Thai restaurant on Monday night, spent a couple of hours there just laughing and being goofy. And, if you had to ask me, and I've received some nice gifts for my birthday. But the best gift to me was sitting there, especially with my kids getting older and them, moving on. And like my daughter now lives on her own and everything. Just to spend that family time together. I would not trade those 2 hours for anything in the world. I just, that's what, and I never understood when I was younger, but the older I get, the more I understand. My dad would always say, he would say, we'd ask him, well, what do you want for your birthday? And he's like, a kind word and a smile. And I tell you, Jim Partridge, that's who I am at this point in time in my life. I would rather somebody say something nice, know that they're happy, than just about anything in the world. That's what it's all about.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So here's the bottom line. The bottom line is that charity comes in all kinds of forms
Yes.
and fashions. And the most that I have found to be rewarding is being able to give rather than receive the gift. And that gift can be almost anything. It's sometimes the gift of a meal. Sometimes it's the gift of a handshake and a smile and an affirmation of that person. It was interesting. I don't remember where I was at, but I was in line to continue my drive at a light, and a homeless person or near homeless person, claimed he was a veteran, and maybe not, I don't know. But he walked by and he told this one person, you could at least acknowledge me. And he is human. And he is a part of where we're at, whether we like it or not.
It is what
And
it
whatever
is.
I don't know his circumstance, but it's interesting. I'm in New York and I'm on the subway and we're going into Manhattan and I'm standing there and I'm with some friends and they're like, "Oh my God, don't look up, don't look up." And I'm like, you know, it's funny.
But why not look? I
Well, this is
can't not
interesting.
have
I think I
contact.
told you this story.
You probably did. I can't not have eye contact with somebody.
Yeah, I think I told you this story, but this is really an interesting story. I told my friends, I said, you can tell the people that are not from New York because they're all in multicolored jackets. They have all these bright colors. The New Yorkers, when you looked across, you could tell they were in the gray drabs, the tan drabs, and their heads are down.
Right.
The people that are tourists, their heads are up. They've
They're
got all the
looking
bright
around,
colors.
They're taking a picture with their phone.
Well, they weren't even taking pictures. Like, they weren't even giving away they were tourists by the
Right.
picture thing. They were just
how they were
Just how
dressed.
they were dressed,
Yeah.
you could tell, right? So here comes this homeless lady. You could tell there's some mental illness there, but she's human. And she's walking around and she's asking, "Do you have any spare change you can give me? Do you have any spare change you can give me?" And these people weren't looking up. And so she looks at this one person. She's about, 20 feet away from me. And she screams at them, "You know what? I'm standing right in front of you. You could just say have a blessed day or something." And it's like, she's right, right?
Yes.
Where have we lost that human connection? Where did we lose
Our humanity.
our following of our faith, right? For me, it's Christ, right? Christ wouldn't have turned away.
Oh my God, he would have been right there in the middle of the people. Well, he was. He was in the leper colonies. He was hanging out with Mary Magdalene was a prostitute.
Right.
He was hanging out with thieves.
Right.
When did we get so high and mighty that I'm
So
too fancy?
Well, this is what's funny. My friends go, "John, don't look up." I said, "Well, heck no." I said, "I'm going to look up. I'm going to talk to her."
Say hi.
She comes back and she goes, "Sir, do you have any extra change?" And I looked at her and I said, "We're traveling." I said, "I've got everything in plastic. I don't have any change." I said, "If I had something to eat, I would pass it on to you." Because normally I keep, you know me, I've got my backpack and I normally have like peanuts or granola bars or something. Because I always hand that stuff out is what I'm doing.
Oh yeah,
And
you
she
and I do
goes-
that. Instead, I'll give a granola bar or a bottle of uncracked, unopened water to somebody on a street corner before I'll give cash.
Yeah.
But I don't carry cash either. I'm like you.
Well, when I'm traveling now, you for sure don't. When I was in D.C., I didn't carry
Oh,
cash.
goodness gracious,
New
no.
York,
No,
I
no,
just
no,
don't
no,
carry
no.
cash. And so she looked at me and she goes, "God bless you." She goes, "Thank you so much." And she goes, "You have a blessed day." I said, "You too, ma'am." I said, "And good luck." And she walked by me, but because I didn't ignore her or ignore her existence, I didn't have to give her anything other than just some time.
Some decency.
Yes. And
Human
so
contact. Yeah.
so when I'm on the side of the road and I see a homeless guy or a purported homeless person walking up and down, I make eye contact.
Yeah.
And I might wave and say,
God
"Sorry."
bless you, or no change, but God bless you.
Right.
Now
I will tell
I'll
you
be
this.
praying for you.
I have thrown apples and oranges out the window
Yep.
to give these folks when I've had extra food in the car. My mother always taught me, you don't give money to a beggar, you feed a beggar.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I've always done that. If I see something, I'll go buy them a meal. It was funny. We were in downtown Dallas at a barbecue place, and Kayla, Michelle's daughter, got to witness this. I had a guy that came up to me at the car. "Can I wash your car for $20?" I'm like, "If you're willing to work for it, I'm willing to let you do it."
Yeah.
And so I left. I paid him $20. I came back. My tires were clean. My bumpers were clean. My windows were clean.
Yeah.
It was worth $20. I get to the barbecue place. A guy comes up and he goes, "I'm really hungry. Would you feed me?" I'm like, "Heck yeah, come on." So we got in line. I fed him. Well, then I had a second one coming, a third one coming. I'm like, "I'm out of money now, guys. You've eaten me to nothing."
You tapped me out.
But they all got meals and they all ate. And Kayla got to see that. Katerina got to see that. It's so important that our children see what charity means. It's giving without expecting anything in
you're
return.
Right. You model for them, and you don't even realize it when you're super young. You don't realize that the way you treat people at a grocery store, the way you treat strangers, the way, do you hold a door open for somebody at church, or do you just let the door slam in their face? All these things, kids get wired when they're young to treat other people that way. I've noticed talking about a birthday dinner the other night, I noticed how friendly my kids were to the waiter, and how when they left, they were like, "Oh, thank you so much for serving us." They've heard me say that, every single time we've gone out for our entire lives, for their entire lives.
Yep.
It makes a difference. It really does. And I'm glad you've talked about this gift giving thing. And I know we've got Lathan here, but I've got a whole good list for when we talk on Friday. Just hit the mother load of lists. But it's interesting because you and Dr. Good were talking a lot about gardening. Gardening kit. Give your loved one more things to do during quarantine by sending them a shipment of greenery. The internet is filled with thoughtfully curated gardening kits that come with seeds, care instructions, glass planters, and more. The gift is ideal for friends with green thumbs who love to design their gardens or are developing interest in gardening. So talk about a great giving
it's
idea.
Awesome. Well, and here's the other thing.
I would love it if somebody gave me something like that.
How about this? How about donating something to a cause in your name?
You know what? If somebody donated to a cause that's near and dear to me, like maybe a pro-life organization, said, "Hey, instead of giving gifts this year, which organization do you want? $20 to go to, $10, $5."
Right.
I would love that.
Well,
especially this year.
It's like Disabled American Veterans
Yep.
when we hosted our telethon.
Oh, yeah.
Donate in somebody's name. It's like we're getting ready to bring Lathan on here and talk about religious liberty.
Yeah.
And you can give to the Liberty Institute in somebody's name. Make
There's
that
a plug.
donation.
Lathan loves it when we bring him on. He's like, "Y'all are big plugs for the donation button, aren't you?"
Well, sure, because that's what keeps religious freedom and liberty
Right.
going. And so, speaking of that, we want to transition. What a time for the Supreme Court, huh? I'll tell you what.
Oh, my
Give
goodness.
old President Trump a big old hug for me. You need to pass on to Kelly Shackelford for pushing Amy Coney Barrett. Barrett. I don't know why I said Barrett. Barrett through to confirmation to be on the Supreme Court.
Never have I been so at peace about a decision made by a president in my entire life.
Yeah, and we're already seeing immediate impact. There
Yep.
was a case that went up from New York. It's called Diocese of Brooklyn versus Cuomo. Where they asked for emergency relief from Governor Cuomo's latest dictatorial impulse.
Oh, gosh, yeah. Which one is this? Yeah.
Right. So it was, his continuing orders, allowing people to go out to restaurants, but placing limits on how many people can be, at church
Right.
or in a synagogue, or can you sing, and all of these other things. And so we filed an amicus brief in the case. It was actually, I think they combined two cases. It was Diocese of Brooklyn.
And then the synagogue.
Good of
I
Israel.
think also, well, was it Brooklyn as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think
Both
they were
organizations were out of Brooklyn.
right around the same place.
Yeah.
And the Supreme Court, 5-4, by the way, said, no,
Yeah.
Cuomo, you can't do that.
Yep.
You can't treat...
Can we turn Lathan's volume up a little bit?
Who was that fifth?
Yeah, that would be Amy Coney Barrett. Roberts voted with the Liberals.
Oh, yeah, Roberts, I'm done with that guy.
We were.
And I'm tired of
We were texting last night. I was like, "Yeah, I'm so over him."
and I'm tired of the politicizing the Supreme Court's getting into.
I mean,
They just need to be quiet. Do your job.
do your
Yes, thank you.
Right.
Yeah.
Be quiet and do your job.
His-
And I mean, they're issuing press releases. They're making public commentary now.
yeah, it's not... You want judges to be apolitical, right? Their job is not to make policy decisions,
Yep.
but their job is to say if a policy decision violates the Constitution, which what Cuomo was doing in New York did, and so they did their job. Now, we have a case in Kentucky. This is, I think, I don't know, at least 2 or 3 times we've had to file lawsuits in Kentucky, where Governor Beshear there closed K through 12 schools in Kentucky, public and private. He left universities open. He left daycares open. You can go to a movie theater. You can go to a gambling hall. You can go to a bar. You can go to a restaurant. You can do all of these things, but your kids can't go to school. So we went to the federal district court and asked for an injunction against the order, and the district court gave it to us. Governor then appealed to the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals, and the 3-judge panel stayed the injunction, which is basically like throwing it out. So now we've gone to the Supreme Court to ask them to overturn the Sixth Circuit. So we filed that petition, I think it was late Friday. So we're waiting to hear from the Supreme Court on that one. But the order just, it doesn't make any sense. If you're a church that has a a Christian school,
Right.
Also. So
Right.
let's say you have a daycare, pre-K through 5th grade or whatever. Well, according to Bashir's order, you're now open and closed. Because
right.
the K through 5 kids can't go to school,
what
but
does
the
that
pre-K
mean?
kids can.
How
for daycare.
how does that work?
What difference does it make? If they're sitting there 8 hours a day,
And especially families who, at some point you usually have somebody in pre-K and somebody who's in regular elementary school. And I'm sitting there thinking, so I would have been able to take my son to pre-K, but not my daughter to elementary school. What?
right? And theoretically, in the same building, they're going to sit there for the exact same amount of time.
And
the only difference
yeah.
is one is learning and the other is in daycare.
Yep.
So not only is his order completely nonsensical, it's unconstitutional, which is why we filed the case that we did. So we're waiting to hear. That will go, I believe, directly to Justice Kavanaugh, because on emergency petitions for emergency relief.
Is it like on a rotation or?
So they basically divide up the circuits. So Kavanaugh is the guy for the 6th Circuit. So he'll
oh,
review
okay,
it.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then if the merits of the case, went before the whole court, then, it would be like a regular
Right.
Case. But since this is on an emergency basis, it goes to him because the 6th Circuit's his.
Right.
He
Right.
looks at the stuff in the 6th
Right.
Circuit. So, sort of piggybacking on what y'all were talking about right before I came in here, this is why the first 2 clauses in the First Amendment and the Bill of Rights protect religious liberty. Because when people of faith live according to their faith, life gets better for everybody.
Amen.
The founders understood that the role of religion in a free society, in a civil society, that you can't have religion without morality, or that you can't have freedom without morality. And where do most people get their sense of morality? Number 1, in the home, and then number 2,
From
church.
Yeah.
And so
Sunday school, Bible study, whatever the case may be.
Exactly. And so I know of no faith or any religious tradition that tells its adherents, as long as you believe what we teach you, you don't really have to do anything.
Yeah.
Like you can live however you want to. Just believe this.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know of no religion that teaches that.
I mean, everything, even though in especially in a Christian society, it's not our job to judge, and we welcome everyone, but it's always about being a better individual and being more like what JP was talking about, being more charitable and things like that. You hear about that all the time. In church, you're always. I don't know any church that I've ever gone to, Catholic or non-denominational or Baptist or anything where there's not some point in time during the service, tithing. I mean,
Sure.
There's a donation portion which speaks to that, but then also it's about and do for those who can't do for themselves right now.
Exactly. All the things that y'all were talking about, that's you living according to your faith.
Right.
And that's what the First Amendment, was written to protect, the right to live according to your faith, not just believe whatever you want or choose wherever you want to go to church. Yes, there will be no official church of the United States. That's
Right.
the Establishment Clause. But the Free Exercise Clause is about living every day according to your faith in all aspects of your life, how you run your business.
Lathan, in looking at this, here's my big question, because outside of the courtroom, you're going to get a lot of noise.
Sure.
In the courtroom, everything is deduced to written pleadings and oral arguments that are going to stay within, if the judges do their job,
Right.
within their lanes.
Right.
Okay. And so I guess my question is, what is the thought process in the pleadings and in the oral arguments in like the Cuomo situation?
Right.
What is the train of thought? Because outside of it, it's going to be conservatives yelling that Democrats are trying to keep religion out of our country and away from our people. Democrats are going to scream, "Oh, we got to worry about the public health, or there'll never be a practice of religion. Practice it at home for now. Watch it on TV." What is actually going on in the courtroom?
Right. So the legal argument is that government has an obligation to be neutral towards religion. It cannot treat religion worse than it treats any other institution. It can't prefer it over a secular organization. But it can't treat it worse either. So if there's going to be restrictions on different institutions in society right now while you're dealing with a pandemic, you can't treat the church differently. You can't treat it worse than you're treating everybody else.
Right.
You can't have, like in Nevada, where you had casinos at 50% capacity, but churches at 50 people.
Yeah.
You can't do that, right? If you're going to
How do you
open...
explain
Right. It's
that
discriminatory practices.
Exactly. If you're going to open casinos at 50%, then whatever the capacity of that church building, they should be allowed to have that many people there, not a number that just says, well, only 50 people at church, but a casino that you can maybe put 5,000
Right.
people in there, can have 2,500. You have to, government's obligation is to treat these institutions the same. In some cases, religion does get, so I wouldn't say like preferential treatment, but it is the first right in the First Amendment for a reason.
Right.
I mean, it has
Exactly. That's
special
by
protection.
design.
Right.
Right.
I mean, it is, even for people who aren't religious. Jefferson called it the right of conscience.
Right.
This is the absolute basic freedom that there is to live according to what you believe, with as little interference from the government as possible.
Right.
Because, and I believe it's first for a reason. Because if you lose that, it's only a matter. I mean, if you allow government in the space between man and God, if you can allow government to force an individual to do something that, according to his beliefs, endangers his immortal soul, then what limit on government is there?
Right.
I mean, I
Well,
think
you
think
cease
twice
to
about.
be
Well, that's where
America.
the sickle and the star and the bear come into play.
Right, exactly.
Right.
I mean, and it's why, in every totalitarian regime in history,
Right.
the very first thing that they get rid of is religious freedom.
Right.
They cannot tolerate a people with an allegiance to someone higher than the state.
Who they are, right? The state,
The
right?
state must be the be all end all. And yeah, I mean, we're seeing that sort of tendency in some of the governors across the country right
Boy,
now.
they're showing their true colors, Lathan. That when we let go of religious liberties, and again, okay, so that, hey, guess what? That means that if you don't want to go to church on a Sunday and you want to be agnostic or atheist or whatever, hey, you know what? I'll pray for you. More power to you. But that's your choice. Just like my choice is to be part of a church and be religious and be spiritual. The day we don't have the ability to choose the religious path that we want, that is truly the day we cease to be America. That's it.
Yeah, and like I said, the founders knew that you can't have freedom without morality.
Yes.
And a perfect example, modern day versus even the time when they wrote this, you can't allow the freedom to assemble for a redress of grievances unless those people have the morality not in their protest to burn down the property of somebody else.
Right.
That's immoral. It's why, Adam said the Constitution was written for a moral people. It's wholly inadequate to the government of any other. You can't, if you're going to allow, if everyone is just free to do what's right in the sight of their own eyes, inevitably the strong will oppress the weak. It's the difference between the
Right.
American Revolution and the French Revolution. The reason why the revolution in France turned on itself, and they started, basically just ate their own, and all of a sudden you had the weak being oppressed again, and
Right.
what did they do? They said, we need a strong leader to come in and fix all of this. Enter Napoleon, and you're right back to a
And
tyrant.
there you
Right?
go.
There you go.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: legal standards are fairly straightforward and simple. I mean, they really are. It's people that complicate the written
Lawyers.
standard, right? Right.
Yeah.
And so how does
Present company excluded.
how does the state of New York quantify their argument that the neutrality, we have to remain neutral when it comes to religion, not show preferential treatment,
Right.
but yet we're showing preferential treatment to certain industry?
Yeah. A lot of this goes back to, really, in my opinion, poorly crafted emergency powers statutes by state legislatures. Many of them were passed right after 9/11, and we wanted the executive branch to be able to act quickly and decisively in certain situations without convening the legislature and taking a vote and passing a law and signing it and all of that.
Right.
But the way a lot of these statutes were written, like specifically in California, the authority is so broad, it's so vague, that all the governor has to do is just declare an emergency, and then it's almost like government by fiat after that.
Yeah.
And so I think the state of New York is saying, well, we're in a stated
Yeah, this is a state of emergency. Yeah.
and the governor has broad powers to take whatever measures he thinks necessary to, fix the problem, basically.
Hey, well, and you see people just kind of rolling over, Lathan. I mean, I just, a girlfriend of mine just recently took pictures of New York. My girlfriend, she's married to Paul Sorvino, and he's there filming right now. And she took pictures of New York, and she's like, what have they done to this beautiful city? and it looked like a third world country. Everything's boarded up. The limited things that are open, you can't even recognize it as a restaurant or a shop or anything. When did we just roll over?
Yeah, that's been really the most surprising thing to me in the entire
The sheeple effect.
exactly is how willingly people just sort of shrug their shoulders and was like, okay, I guess we got to
right.
do it. Like, I think we're kind of at a point now. There's so much fatigue with all of this that you are starting to see more people like, you know what, we're gonna have church on Sunday.
Oh,
Governor, do
in
what you gotta
Texas,
do.
yeah, it is. But some of these states, and are you seeing that more in places like New York?
Yeah.
Okay, like the people rising kind of a thing.
Yeah, and it's not, they're not doing it, out of some, sense of rebellion. They're doing it out of adherence to their religious beliefs. They don't have a choice in their mind. It's
Well,
and that's really the unique American dilemma for people of faith. Like what do you do when a government that is founded on the idea that you should never be put in the position of having to choose between your faith and obeying the law, puts you in that position?
Right.
And that, I think, becomes an individual decision that people have to make. What we counsel our clients is that if you can comply, comply. But if you come to a line where, look, this is non-negotiable, then okay, then that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
Well, interestingly enough, I think it's going to take, and I hope it never comes to this, right? It's going to take people finally saying, it's like businesses saying, you know what, we're just not.
Enough is enough.
We're not. We're going to church.
Right.
Come and arrest us. Send in the National Guard and arrest 75 of us, 200 of us for being in church. And then we're going to get the cameras out and we're going to show you marching religious followers out of their churches into the jails.
Police cars. Instead of here, hold my beer, here, hold my Bible.
Right.
Watch this.
Yeah, exactly. And also make sure you do it on the same day that there's 5,000 people out protesting downtown.
Right.
Who
and
are
not harassing them.
Who literally
Right.
police are just sitting there frozen, being spewed venom at,
Right.
literally. Yeah.
Well, and and it goes back to the irrational politic of people like AOC. This morning I'm listening to Senator Graham talk about what the Senate's getting ready to do, and they're talking about the defunding of police, and Senator Graham comes out and says there's not a single Democrat senator, not a single Republican senator that wants to defund police. In fact, all of us have said we need to put more into law enforcement. And so he said, and then they had the senator from West Virginia on, the Democratic senator on this. Yes, that came on and talked about it as well and said, the people of West Virginia asked me to go in and do as much bipartisan work as possible to represent the people. We're not defunding the police. We want to put more into the police. And he agreed that there's not a single senator that wants to defund the police. And yet we've got this small block on Twitter that are congresswomen that are dictating the tone of the politic in this country that is then being stifled. The Lindsey Grahams of the world and Democratic senators of the world that are being rational or being stymied by social media, and yet social media is then promoting what the people like AOC, their irrational thoughts. How do we get the Supreme Court to get on board, do their job, and simply follow the Constitution to send a message out to Congress that, hey, we're not going to take and deal with anything that's irrational anymore. We're done with it.
I mean,
by merely doing their job, not asking them to do anything else.
Some of that, I think, you will see in what cases the Supreme Court chooses to hear. And again, that's where I think you will see an impact of having now Justice Barrett on the court. If 4 justices vote to take a case, then it goes on the cert granted list, right? If you can't get 4 votes to take it, then cert's denied. I think if you have Thomas, Alito, and now Barrett that seem to be the reliable originalist, textualist wing of the 9, and on most issues, you can probably get Gorsuch. On most issues, you can probably get Kavanaugh. Right. Some, maybe not. Then you have the beginnings of a solid 4 votes to take a case. And if Roberts sees that there's 4 votes to take this case, Now he's in a position of, okay,
he's going to be that swing vote
the case
again.
is here.
Yes.
So now what do I do?
Right.
Right. There's at least 4 votes probably to go this way, and they may go even further than I would like. Okay. It puts him in the position like now he has to choose. If he goes with the liberals and it's 5-4, then the most senior justice in the majority is going to write that opinion or assign it, and that would be Justice Thomas, who is likely going to go much further than Roberts wants to.
Absolutely.
Or he then joins. Roberts can then say, well, then I guess I'm going to join the majority opinion because as Chief Justice, if I'm in the majority, I write the opinion or I assign it. And
do you think there's ego involved in that at this point?
I don't know if it's ego or if it's just his reluctance for the court to write big, broad, sweeping decisions. I think he's much more of a take a narrow approach, decide these things on a narrow basis, not make huge, sweeping policy changes, sort of thing. Whereas Thomas, even though he's not a policymaker and abhors policymaking by the court, if something is unconstitutional,
he's
no matter how long it's been in place, he's going to say, "Look, this is wrong, and we should fix it."
Yeah.
So I think you might see Roberts in the majority on some cases to where it ends up being a 6-3, and he writes the decision that might not go as far as say Thomas wants to. Or an Alito.
So he has more control over
because he'll write the opinion
over what the actual talking
it.
points will be. Okay.
And in those cases, it will be very interesting. Read if Thomas writes a concurrence. Read Thomas's concurrence because it will likely say, "Yeah, the majority opinion's right, and this is the right thing to do." But we probably should have done X, Y, and Z also. Like in our big case, a year ago on the Bladensburg Peace Cross, Thomas wrote a concurrence that said, yes, this decision is right. The Peace Cross doesn't violate the Establishment Clause. The Lemon versus Kurtzman is a terrible law, and I'm glad we're getting rid of it. And, oh, by the way, what we should have done was also say no more offended observer as standing to bring lawsuits.
Right.
Establishment Clause cases is the only area in the law where we allow this, and we should have gotten rid of that too. And I think Alito joined him on that. It was either Alito or Gorsuch. So there's at least 2 votes when you read that concurrence to say no more just getting offended by something and filing a lawsuit to tear it down.
Right. So here we are getting towards the end. Who are you with? How do we get a hold of you? How do we support you?
Right.
So that we continue to have religious freedom and liberty push forward.
Thank you very much. First Liberty Institute, you can go to firstliberty.org. If you want to sign up for our newsletter, you can sign up there. You'll get weekly updates on all of our cases. At the top, if you need our help, right at the top of the page, there's a button that says Get Legal Help. It's a very simple little form where you just kind of tell us what's going on, and then one of our team will get in touch with you and we'll get all the details. If you want to donate, the button right next to it is the Donate button. 2 things that are unmistakable at the top of the website: Get Legal Help and Donate. Right. Because that's what we have to have, both of those, in order to keep. We got to have clients and we got to have the funds to
help
to carry out.
Well, and the key is you represent your clients for free.
Exactly. You'll never get a bill.
Right. And so that's why that donate button is so important,
right,
because it's what's helped driving religious freedom.
Right.
And honestly, there's no other, I see no other way where an organization like ours could function. Because you take a case like Coach Joe Kennedy up in Bremerton, Washington, right? It's going up to the Supreme Court. It's now back down at the Ninth Circuit, probably going back to the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
That case has gone on for almost 7 years. Wow. Okay, if we were billing him on an hourly basis like a law firm, just say like a cheap law firm, $200-300 an hour, that guy's legal bill would be 7, maybe 8 figures.
He would have been bankrupt several times over.
I mean, there's no way
point.
he could continue the fight.
Yeah.
So that's why the donate button is there. That's why our volunteer attorneys donate their time pro bono.
Yep.
They're some of the best litigators in the business, all over the country, which allows us to take a case anywhere in the country. If you're interested in like our produced content, some of our videos, the Legalese series that I do, go to firstlibertylive.com. Okay. That's where all of our native content lives now. So you can watch videos that sort of tell the stories of these cases, and Legalese with Lathan is kind of a lighthearted, sarcastic, humorous take on religious liberty. I have no idea, where that came from. There's, a few episodes there as well.
All right. Well,
Very
Lathan, again,
good.
thank you so much for
Yeah,
your
we
time this
appreciate it.
morning.
Thank
And,
you.
always extremely educational, informational, and we need to know. This information needs to be out there.
Right.
And being able to dig into the nuts and bolts and not just see the 60,000 mile above the earth picture
Right.
is always good. And also the media distorting what's really going on in the courts, because what's going on in the courts is almost never reflective of what the media is talking about outside of the
Yeah, do
courts.
your research. Do not get your news from Twitter.
Right. And yeah, the headlines are not always the most accurate description of what's actually going on.
So true.
Come to our website.
So
You'll learn exactly what's going on.
All right. Well, we are JP, Kathy, and the crew. We are going to sign off. Before we do, want to let you know we're getting ready to start having Santa come on. I've got a call into the North Pole,
yippee.
and he's going to be talking about gift ideas and what kids should be doing, not should be doing, so they can be, visited by Santa this year. But also,
Elf on the Shelf is watching and reporting
that's right.
back.
And Santa may be giving away gifts here at JP, Kathy, and the crew for those who call
I will
in. And
behave.
you're going to have to. That may call in and say the
First time for
right
everything.
word.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that
Santa's
will be a first time.
workshop word. So thanks for joining in. Always catch us right here at jpkcrew.com. That's jpkcrew.com, and that'll send you to everywhere you need to go. And boy, Bree, you
Yeah,
have been
point up.
well trained,
Uh-oh,
Bree.
Charles,
Now you got to point
This-
like I point
there
straight
we
up.
go.
You've got to point to.
I've got to do this.
Yes, that's crazy. I feel so ridiculous.
And Lathan needs to do this because his name and his website are right, right
Yeah.
below him. So
And now we got all kinds of stuff.
Charles,
This is way out of the
You trained Chambrielle very well.
out of control. All right, that's it for us. We are signing off as
love
Bree
you.
takes us out with our music. See ya.
Have a blessed day.